everybody to Higher Talks. I'm so excited to be here, and we've gone through so many topics, so many conversations, some conversations that spanned a few classes, and if you're still here, if you're still listening, if you believe a little bit that my words are coming from a deeper place, and you start connecting to them, you'll start feeling it. You'll start becoming as crazy as I am. They say about crazy people that they talk to themselves a lot. That's basically what I'm doing here. I'm talking to myself. If you're on the other side listening, then what you're doing is you're listening to a person just talk. There's no one sitting on the other side. It's just me organically talking and basically speaking my thoughts. So we have to learn how to learn how to think. We have to learn how to think. So we have to redefine the word thinking to we have to learn how to speak with ourselves. We have to learn how to have discussions with ourselves. One of the things about speaking to other people is we bring up a topic and we say, hey, I would like to have this great time and go on vacation. I don't know where to go. The friend is going to say, oh, you know where my friend just went? He just went to Hawaii, and he just had the greatest time. He went motorcycling around the islands. He helicopter rides, water sports, amazing hotels and food and everything that you could ever imagine. So you just had a conversation with a friend, and now you look at that like, Hawaii, how much does it cost? Okay, let me see how much. Let me speak to my friend. Let me see if we could work something out. Let me ask my wife if she wants to go there. And you start building, and then the other person says, it's not so expensive. You could go and use points for this and that for that, and the conversation keeps on growing. I throw something, this guy throws something back, and we go higher and higher and higher. But what if I have this conversation with myself and I'm like, I need to buy my wife a birthday present? That's where I get stuck. I don't know what to buy. I don't know how much to spend. I don't know in what thing. Do I want to buy her a memory? Do I want to buy her jewelry? Do I want to get her a bookcase, or do I want to get her a studio, like to go and sing in a studio and record an album? I don't know. There's so many options, and all those options have us get lost, and we just say, okay, this is not a conversation, and we just move on, and then the birthday shows up, and we got nothing. So learning how to have conversations with ourselves is very important. We have to learn how to up the conversation. We throw something in and stay there until we could throw something back and keep on going. And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of muscle in the mind to learn how to sit with ourselves and really talk, really have this conversation. And that's called thinking. How do we think? We are able to build up higher and higher. So we can have conversations in our head just by sitting down on the couch and saying, I'm just going to close my eyes and be with myself. Although our attention spans are so short with all the technology that has been fed to us for the last 20 years, and it was so crazy how my generation, the 1990s kids, we were basically handed a whole bunch of technology that nobody knew how to use them, and many of us turned out to how to monopolize on this technology and made it even better and learned how to bring so many more comfortabilities and great things into our life. The technology only moved forward because people like us who understood it and have lived with it all our lives, and we went through the mistakes of technology that has brought us to these great necessities, like necessities, the mother of invention, right? So all these new things that came up are all because our attention span are so short, and we need more things. And yeah, the internet definitely did a lot. But then again, the internet works very similar to how the Gemara works. The Gemara starts with one word, me'im asai, from when. So we have to go in and understand, what does me'im asai, what does when mean, what does time mean? And it's just like the word bereshis. Bereshis means time, me'im asai means time, and it's the difference is Bereshis is the time of the world, Me'im Asai is the time of the human being. That's the whole difference. So we could sit down on the couch and try to keep our attention span focused on the world, on the conversation that we're having. By the way, what is focus? Focus, very interesting idea to look at. Focus is when the conscious mind and the subconscious mind come together and are focused and look. So let's say if somebody is building something and he's turning the screws in, he's focused, his mind, his conscious mind is looking at the screw, and his subconscious mind is coming and telling you how to drill it in. It's telling you, giving you that information, and together it's a work of the entire mind at once, saying this is what we're doing. That's considered focus. And when we could take the conscious mind and say, this is what we're doing right now, we are going to have a conversation, and this conversation is going to bring us higher, this conversation is going to bring us deeper, and as you'll learn, higher and deeper are the same thing, right? The deeper you go, the stronger the roots, the higher you go, the closer you get to Hashem. So, and only if you're deeper in the roots can you grow to become that high. It's one big subject, but that's called focus. So back to our conversations. You want to have conversations with yourself. You have to learn how to talk. You have to learn how to speak to yourself. Step number one, when you're going to have a conversation with yourself, when you speak to yourself, when you think about any other person in the world that you would have a conversation with. Who are the people that you enjoy spending time with? Now, if you enjoy them, if you enjoy the conversations they bring to the table, and you enjoy just their presence, you enjoy being in their environment, you're like, wow, those are good people, those are my friends. Then you have to see yourself that way as well. You have to see yourself as somebody you want to have a conversation with. Am I somebody that I would want to speak with? Am I somebody who has something to add to the table, or am I dull? How do I think about myself? So of course, everything we have to keep on thinking before thinking, but just take a few moments to get to know who you are. A few moments could mean a few months, a few years, I don't know, but take time to get to know who you are. See yourself in the mirror. Look at the deeds that you've done. Listen to other people, what they think about you. Not in a judgment way that, oh, they think about me this way. No, honestly, they think about you this way because you've proven to be this person through your actions. And now you get an image of yourself. You could write it down. You could read books. You could start seeing how, observing your perspective of the world. What do I see when somebody shows up with a $200,000 car? What type of do I think about, wow, good for this guy, or do I think like, what's this guy's job? What's he busy with, or what's the motivation for this? We could go in so many different ways when we see something like that, and we get to observe ourselves. We say, what was my first thought when they asked me this? When I saw this car? What was when somebody asked me, do you want to go to the water park? And I just said no. Why? Why did I say no? Maybe that's actually what I want, but why did I say it? So you start questioning yourself. You start thinking about yourself. Who am I, and what am I doing here, and what type of person am I? Do I want to have a conversation with myself? And that's the beginning stages. Get to know who you are. And I think we're going to continue down the conversation about having conversations. But there's so much in this subject of getting to know who you are and how you go about doing that. But now we go into our little conversations. We want to try to bring ourselves higher and up into better places and to reach newer conclusions. So we take any topic, we take any subject we want to discuss, and as we spoke about this in one of the first videos, there's a thing called intent. We take a certain intention and we say, or we take a certain feeling. Basically, we open a door in our mind. That door is going to lead us in to deal with getting to know ourselves. Who am I? And we're going to open up that door, and we're going to start going through all the thoughts that are possible, all the possible thoughts that could answer this question. And they're all there. We just have to focus and just start listening. Start paying attention that this is all that matters right now. Nothing from the side is going to disturb me. Nothing from the outside has the ability to take me away, because this is the most important thing to me right now. And I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest, to the best extent that I can. So we go into this into ourselves, and once we get to know who we are and we get to acknowledge the person that you're having a conversation with, you could start becoming visual, or you could continue just thinking and just being abstract about it, thinking like from one thing, and this reminds me of that, and that reminds me of that, and you listen to somebody's podcast, and then suddenly you're like, you know what, they should do something else. So that's a form of thinking. You're just thinking in that way. But then there's a way of having a conversation where you're talking to to yourself. Are you talking to somebody? Is there somebody standing on the other side? And that's where visualization comes in. Do I see somebody standing across from me? And because of that, I feel like there is, I could see his body language, I could see how he reacts, and that's how we learn to look at our feelings. When we start thinking about why am I such a failure? Why am I not seeing any success? Usually what would happen is the heart would start feeling down, and we would start getting all lost because we would have a washing machine full of thoughts starting to swirl around up there, not giving us the ability to think straight. It's like when we ask ourselves, what should I get my wife for her birthday? I have a whole bunch of options. I don't even know where to start, so we just move away. But the second you start saying, no, this is what I'm doing, then you see your heart starting to fall down. You start feeling, wow, I spoke about failure, I spoke about my lack of success, and my heart is hurting. So you look at the heart and you say, okay, I see, this is where the conversation is taking me. You see that other person standing across from you, which is technically you're being your own therapist, and you're looking at it and saying, hey, I see your heart's hurting when I bring up the word failure and success. What's going on with you? Why do you feel this way? And you allow the first thought that comes to mind to be the answer. We're not trying to come up with the best answer. We're not running for some competition. We're just trying to have a conversation. And in a conversation, you just talk. You just allow the words to go back and forth and listen to those words. Be in tune to those words, not just somebody speaking and you're just waiting to say your part of the story. They cut you off while you're talking. No, you intently or go and look at that person and say, I want to discuss you. I want to discuss you right over here, looking into the camera. This is me sitting across from myself. I want to discuss you. And once we open that door, we just start listening. And we speak to ourselves. We remind ourselves of certain stories. We go back and say, I used to be pretty good when I was in yeshiva. I used to be very successful, and I had friends, and I had hundreds of my tests, and I was doing well. And I don't know what happened. It must have happened later that I started falling into this circle of this cycle, this vicious cycle, and this spiral downward. And you start going through. You're like, when did I feel this laziness come over me? Was it when I started having kids? No. Before that, when I got married? No. Maybe before that. Interesting. It was when I left yeshiva. That's when I feel like I just laid back and put a phone into my hand, and I allowed technology to be my new babysitter. And that's when I basically started just letting go and saying, I worked hard for the last couple of years in yeshiva. I went through this tough time, so now it's time for me to kick up and wake up at 12 p.m. We start seeing, okay, the pattern started somewhere. And now you're like, oh, okay. So now that you hear that piece of information, you're like, okay. That sounds interesting. Let's dig into that a little bit more. Let's continue this conversation. Let's move forward and say, okay, let's first remember, how did success look like? How did it feel like? And we have that conversation. We break down every story into little parts. How did the success feel like when you were in school, when you were in yeshiva, and you were in a competitive area between kids, and you always try to shine? How did that feel? And try to bring it back. Allow your heart to start feeling it. Allow it to come into you. And then you move on to the next part is like, okay, what are the things that you have to change in your life, those things that have pulled you away from your success, those things that you want, that, I don't know if you want to blame them, you want to call it blame, but those things you want to pinpoint and say, hey, I believe that's an area I have to work on because it's still affecting me today. And we start reaching and we say, okay, great, we reached this conclusion. Now, do you want to stop here and start working on it? Or do you want to continue and see, is there anything else? Is there anything else that you feel like your heart still wants? Why are you not successful? Is this really answering your question, or is there more? And those are all amazing conversations that we could have with ourselves, or we could have with someone, a good friend. But then again, we spoke about it. Having a good friend requires an immense amount of trust, of knowing that I could have my most darkest conversations with this person, and we will learn and we will laugh together, we will cry together, and we will, still be friends, even if the conversation goes and hurts the other person and says, hey, we have to talk about something because you've hurt me, you've done something to me, or you said something. And those are natural, those are relationships. And if you make a relationship work that way, if you have those conversations, the relationship is going to prosper. It's just natural. Yes, you're going to say things and you'll have a conversation about it, you'll talk about it, and that's communication. And that's what humans have over animals. Animals, they don't have a way to resolve anything. Yeah, because naturally, if they would be able to resolve, they wouldn't have any food to eat. They need to have their prey, and if they're going to just go over to the deer and have a conversation with them, they're just going to die because they don't have any food. And that's just the nature of the wild. There's a primal nature of keeping your species alive, because humans need food, and not just that. In order for humans to have food, you need to have a wild kingdom where the animals themselves could live and prosper and continue their species for many generations to come, and centuries and millennia. Because if the animals wouldn't be able to eat, they wouldn't have kids, then we wouldn't be able to eat. It's just a natural thing. So you see how relationships, when it comes to animals, when it comes to those, like, they don't have the gift of talking, because there's an underlying cause for their existence. Our underlying cause of existence is to live in peace. Our underlying cause of existence is to foster relationships that grow and that last and that bring two people, a family, a community, and a world together. And the same thing is with ourselves. We want to bring our soul and our heart together. We want to know that we are on the right path. We want to know that our feelings are not just taking us away and throwing us into some abyss somewhere far out, where we feel so distant and far from having conversations with ourselves. We don't want to think about ourselves ever. We just look for our technology, our fun, our widgets to comfort our shortening attention span, and because we're scared of facing the true face inside of you. And to be honest, it's a very nice face, no matter what you've done in your life. When you get to know yourself from the inside, your heart starts warming up. You see a face with tears that you've never been able to cry. You see a face with smiles that you've never been able to smile. It's there's no shame. It's the true you. It's the true essence of you. All those feelings, all those thoughts that you have when you walk around, when you see other people with Lamborghinis. Yeah, you tell yourself, hey, there are these thoughts that go on, and you don't even realize that they're going on. But those are your true thoughts. Those feelings of what you believe in. And once you start observing them, you start noticing them, you see, are these thoughts helping me out? Are these thoughts really the person I want to be? And you start working with yourself. It's imagine going and working with another person. Over here, you are your closest brother. You should take care of yourself, make sure that you have your feet on the ground, and not just knowing who I am so I could get out of bed in the morning, knowing who I am and can go out to the world confidently and say, this is what I have to offer. This is the person I am. These are the services I could provide. These are the talents I'm good at. And if the world needs me, if the world needs those talents, if anybody could use this, please call me. I'll be knocking on every door, saying, hey, this is what I could offer. Can you use my services? Be your own salesman. Sell yourself for the goodness that you could provide. And this all starts from having conversations. It all starts by communication, by using the mouth, using the words, and connecting yourself to the truth, connecting yourself to facts and honesty. The facts that we live in, the surroundings that we have, the life that we've made for ourselves, the choices that have shaped us into who we are today. Those are facts that are not going to be changed. What can be changed is how you go about this minute and the coming minute and for the rest of the future. And have these conversations. Learn how to talk with yourself. Learn how to have those dark thoughts that you never wanted to go into. Learn how to go in there without getting lost. You don't want to go in there and then just run away and never do that again. You go in and you get to know yourself from a deeper perspective. You get to see, like, really, who am I? Am I just a person full of stories, and if I don't write them down, I'll just be gone and no one will remember me? Or am I someone who could actually change things? I could have kids and leave a legacy. I could go and build businesses, write books. I could go and speak to people. I could go and invent something new to the world. And not just that, I could go and add value to everything around me. I could add value to every moment of my day and live it fully, so that when I go, I don't just go and I'm gone, I take along all this time, all this goodness, all this investment that I put in here on earth. I bring it up with me up there, because when you show up there, when you show up there, you are your true self. And the more you know who you are, the more confident you'll be walking around in that skin. If you want to walk around and in the world to come proudly, you should get to know who you are. You should get to know who your soul is, because by lacking in that area, you're just going to show up there and you'll be like, I don't even know who I am. I am this soul. People are looking at me in a certain way, and I've never thought about it. I never knew people see me this way. I never knew that my actions shape me to become this type of person. Start talking to yourself. Start getting to know yourself. See what you've become, and see how you can make yourself better. So when you show up there, you'll know who you are. You'll stand there in your soul. You'll stand there in that realm, and you'll know who you are. People will look at you, and you'll be like, yes, this is me. This is my name, and this is my memory, and this is what I have to give. It's a full life. It's a full life of work, and join me if you want to be as crazy as me. I know it's not the way we grew up, but it definitely is the way our religion and our beliefs stuck around until today. These are the thoughts. These are the things that make a person who they are. Stand for their convictions. Know what they're good at, and become this better person. Have these conversations with yourself. Take yourself up to the next level. Get to know yourself, and we'll continue B'ezrat Hashem next week to explain all the ways that you can have these conversations throughout your body, and and easier ways to find these doors in your memories. All right, wonderful. My name is Lemmer. Check out my books on Amazon. Who Am I? Beautiful book in hypnotherapy. Tehillim Legacy Journal. English poetry throughout entire Tehillim. Just beautiful. You'll resonate with these words. Pick up a copy. Definitely won't regret it. I believe very much that it's our generation where we have to write things like this. We have to expand the Torah into the next generation. So that's my gift to you. My name is Lemmer. I'm a hypnotherapist, and you can reach me at lemmerhypno@gmail.com. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful life.